All right, we are live. And welcome to Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy, brought to you by the 7 Spheres of Money. Thank you for joining us. And before we continue, make sure you like the video, share it, and subscribe to the 7 Spheres of Money on YouTube. So we're not going to be long tonight, but we're going to be strong. And we're talking about fatherhood, since Father's Day just passed, last weekend. So we're going to talk about that. We touched on a little bit of that on Nick's Knowledge and Notions, but we got the brother minister, Leonard Ray, joining us this evening to give us the word on fathers and the faith about fathers.
I mean, see, I always got to cleanse this before we get on with these guys. Who knows what's going on? What they say, have a prayer for life. So when you need God, you ain't got to clear out the cobwebs. Just clear out the cobwebs. What is going on, everybody? I mean, so it's great to be on. I think I missed you guys last week. We weren't on last week, but the week before I was in Detroit, and I was trying to get on, but the freaking hotel Wi-Fi went out, so it was crazy trying to get on that drink. So
stop standing in Webster or Romulus.
Oh no, man! It was a nice drink, and I was like, okay, it is what it is. I was on the drinks. I ain't even stayed in there. I like to stay in the regular drinks. It keeps me humble. But my wife was like, that ain't happening. No. She put me in this fancy dancy drink, and I was like, oh, this is nice. And then when I tried to get on, I was like, oh, this is not nice. I should have been in the regular old drink. That would have been fine, but I ain't even home yet. I'm out in the car, but want to welcome everybody on here. Say hello to DJ. Say hello to my brother Nick. I'm talking about wishing DJ a happy Father's Day. He sent me pictures of his boys probably whipping him on the golf course, so that was great to see that. I think it was one of the first time he got to play with both of his sons. Because normally it's just, either one, but this time he got to play with, both of his sons. So that was a good thing. I was talking earlier to Nick, and he told me about, got to hang out with his father and everything. And that was great. I got to spend time with
hear about
my
that.
father. Yeah, man. So, you definitely got to say that, Trey. But it's fun out this train, yeah. So happy Father's Day to all the men. I know we don't get the stuff that we deserve, and I'm talking to the real guys who actually step up to the plate and do the things and the sacrifices that they need. I think we're gonna leave it with a word. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, and he who is under the protection of God and does what he's supposed to do. His children are blessed. So that's what it's about, and being able to be a blessing to the young people who look up to you. And that's what a real man is. Like, it is what it is. The buck stops here. All we get is the big piece of chicken. So I love that joke by Chris Rock. He's like, man, you'll never get no stars or whatever. Oh man, first of all, I want to thank my dad. They always say want to thank their mom. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom, for taking me to basketball practice. Thank you, Mom, for taking me to football practice. Thank you, Mom. He said, man, no. Thank you, Dad, for keeping these lights on. Thank you, Dad, for keeping a roof over my head. We never get shout outs like that, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. I will happily say I got my kids took care of me, so it was good. It was good.
Oh, man, that's fired up. You know what? Title on this show is what does fatherhood mean to you? So I had a great fatherhood moment yesterday. So yesterday we met up with the founders of loopinsure.co. They're on the 4-city tour. Shout out to John Henry. Shout out to Carrie Ann. The co-founders who moved their corporation down to Austin, Texas. And they're on the 4-city tour from Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. So I walk into the venue And immediately the executives up on the stage, they were like, hey, how you doing? I said, hey, you know what? I said, I'm Rodney's dad. All of a sudden, dude, it was like I was a star. They were like, man, your son Rodney, man, he does this, and this. He's accountable. He works hard. He's disciplined. He's unselfish, and he always does what we ask him to do. It's like this kid is just so humble, and so that's the best gift that I can get as a father, bar none, because he's repping that name on the back of our jersey better than I can even imagine, man. So I was humbled. And you know what the funny thing is that it wasn't they all came together to say this to me. It was like I would meet one individual of the executive team that didn't even know me. But once they found out who I was, they were telling me these individual stories about what Rodney was doing and representing us extremely well. And they were like, man, we so proud that your son is working with us. And he was like, man, you must be some kind of guy the way you raised your son. So that was the epitome of what fatherhood meant to me from my experience with my son, in addition to the fact that like the preacher said, I was able to play golf with both Rodney and play golf with the Crusher on the Father's Day tournament, man. So it's been a blessing. And I think that the more we could do that in our community, and the more we understand that, usually kids always shouting out to the mom, because it's our responsibility and our accountability that we shouldn't be looking for a pat on the back. We're just doing what we're supposed to do at the end of the day. So that's one of my stories for fatherhood. So Nick, man, I'm interested to hear about your experience with your dad, because y'all obviously was chopping it up. So you got a story to tell, so I want to hear it, brother.
Oh yeah. You're gonna like this one, because this one falls in line to what you shared with us, maybe a month or two ago about Apple, Amazon, and Netflix.
Okay.
So, yeah. So my father has had one of those experiences that he shared with me over the weekend. Because as I get older, he shares more things with me that he didn't tell me before in the past. So I mentioned that my father has a degree, bachelor's degree in business administration.
Right.
So after he graduated from college, this might have been his first job. He was a store manager of a home improvement chain store based in New Jersey called Rickle. Back in the 80s. So during that time, he had stock in the company. He said he owned about 300 shares of Rickle, worth about $30 at the time. But eventually during that time, Rickle was getting bought out by another company. So a woman from Merrill Lynch was having a conversation with them, and she was trying to convince him to move his money over and invest into this new company that was taking over Rickle. And my father wouldn't do it. I don't know if he he thought it was too risky, or he didn't think that the company would perform well, but he wouldn't do it. Now remember, I said this is a home improvement company, right? That he was working at. Now take a guess at what
in the 80s
company took it over.
In the 80s, yeah.
Home Depot.
Home Depot.
Home Depot.
Home Depot. Yep.
In the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah. This is in the 80s. So not
how many shares did he have?
He had about 300 shares at he said about $30 a share.
On that, brother, because oh my.
Yeah, and that's not even the worst part. All
right, I'm listening. I'm about to throw up.
Yeah. So not only that, so he took the money that he had in those shares and he rolled it over into a bank account, and he was paying a bunch of tax on it. That was the worst part. So that I see DJ's face.
Oh no, that can't be right. Home Depot is that much a share? Oh God.
Uh-oh.
All right, go ahead. Finish your story.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. He rolled it over to a bank account, and then of course he had to pay a bunch of tax on it.
That was it. That was in the 80s.
Bank account. Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do a cost equivalent to appreciation and inflation on them 300 shares, man. Let's we gotta run them.
You know what? I did forget one part. The moral of the story, because he also gave me the moral of the story. The moral of the story was that he wished he had someone advising him and guiding him on on that on that endeavor right there. So I'm thinking an equivalent of a Melvin Hobson, something like that. So that was the moral of the story. He wished he had someone.
Throw up, brother.
Uh-oh.
You about to throw up. Look what inflation proof that is. Your dad.
$1.4 million. Oh yeah, actually almost 1.5.
You know how that is? Because see, guess what? Everything doubles in value every 10 years, especially when you hold it, because Home Depot has obviously gone through what they call splits.
A bunch of splits. Yeah.
At least 4 times.
Yeah. I was telling him it was worth today. It was one share is worth $3.12 right now.
That's what I just read.
And I was like, dude,
that ain't even taking into consideration the splits.
No, not at all.
Your dad probably
the 80s.
Your dad probably your dad made a $3 million mistake.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Did you tell him what he bought?
You said that's what?
What did he buy?
Did you tell him what he bought with the money?
What did he buy with the oh my
I mean, he wasn't. I mean, I told him about moving the money into the bank account, but my father, he was pretty responsible with money overall. Like he has priorities in order.
Right.
This is at the time that he married my mother in the mid to late 80s. So he said one of the things that he bought for my mom was a $300 bike that got stolen from the house.
Oh man! Oh no!
So I don't know if I should be saying this.
Your dad will be upset with you, bro.
I don't know if I should be saying this out loud to the public, but he did kind of say, indirectly that things might have been different financially for him if he stayed single a little bit longer. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I see why he hadn't told you this story till you turned 30.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Hey man, tell the truth, shame the devil.
Hey man, but let's be real, Nick, you may not have been here, so.
Right.
That is true.
Yeah, I mean, hey man.
that money cost him a $300 bike and a $100,000 son for Howard University.
That's true. Because that wasn't the only instance. He also mentioned another company that him and his buddy put a bunch of money into, and he used to come home and watch. He come home and watch the financial news.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. And then, one day, I guess my mother just wouldn't change the channel. She was watching Oprah and wouldn't let my dad turn on the financial news. And he made another $1 million mistake on that day too.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Your dad had a master's degree in business administration?
A bachelor's. Yeah.
A bachelor's.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What company was that?
I forgot the name of it. It was some. He said something about I guess something in the news that caused the stock to drop. So he
panicked and sold it.
Yeah, some person ran off, with some money or something. That was the head of the company. It was some situation like that.
Your dad sold it low at a panic and. Oh man.
Well, no, he didn't sell it. He got caught holding the bag pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But you know what the great thing about that is that
Yeah.
now you're at the age when you and your dad are like friends.
Right. Yeah.
Are friends and stuff. And that's a beautiful thing in of itself. So I aspire to have that relationship with my sons, that they get old enough where they're adults like you and I'm still young enough where we can just, collectively hang out like friends versus father and son, but still father and son. So that's amazing, man. I mean, if you think about it, going back to that story, if your dad knew better from an education standpoint financially, he would have held on to that because that was money that was free money.
Yeah.
Unless he really needed it. I mean, and we all made those mistakes, man. I made a mistake with a startup company that I worked for. It was called Install Shield. That actually, when you transfer files on Windows, I actually was a manager with them, sales manager, and was vested, and I sold my share. Because this is before I got into financial securities license and all that. I was like, man, I need my money right away. And that probably was $250,000, $500,000. But again, that's from what we don't know, and that part of fatherhood is so important now, is teaching your children about that, and you preparing in the future. If you decide to get married and have children, you'll be able to teach your children this. And there's a saying, they can hate me now and love me later, because these principles, you got to make sure they have them in their life, because that's what our competitors do and our peers do. They don't tell them, hey, you got to, be okay to learn this. They be like, you're going to learn this. You're going to go to school to become an accountant. You're going to go to school becoming a lawyer, and you're going to run this part of our business. And we don't do that. Or if we do it, like the preacher does, then we don't share it amongst our community like everybody else does. So again, for me, fatherhood means, like preacher said, provide for my children's children's children. And then especially for my daughters, is making sure that my daughters, grow up and marry a man like me, principle wise, and not get caught up in these knuckleheads. So what about you, preacher? What's fatherhood mean for you personally with your own little tribe?
Oh my God. I mean, with my son, it's the same thing. My son is the oldest. It's kind of you can't make them do what you want them to do.
Right.
And as hard as it is to tell them that I know what I'm trying to tell you because I'm knowing from experience, you kind of have to trick them into trying to figure it out for themselves, So, me and my son, I love him to death, great kid, never had an issue with him, none of that craziness. So I was like, I was blessed and fortunate with that. But when it boiled down to it, of course.
Did we lose him?
He froze up.
He froze up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so also when he comes back from the freeze, what are some other things that fatherhood means to you from your relationship with your dad, how it's gone from you being a young Nick, adolescent in college to now to manhood? So what's the value for you that you are going to be looking forward to pass on for your legacy?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always look at
they don't ever have to ever worry about anything. So, it's a little different.
Actually, we lost you for like 60 seconds. So whatever you said the last 60 seconds, you blacked out when you were going into your house and came back. So you got to reiterate that to us. How old is your son?
He's 25.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's 25 now. Very, very smart, book smart. He was a part of NASA's mentorship. He was 13 when he was up at the Naval Academy.
Oh, wow.
In Annapolis, working with them. I mean, he was, goodness gracious, what do they call that? Not young Marines, but he was Air Force. It was the Air Force. So it was like the young cadets for the Air Force. Okay. So he was hyping that. So I just knew he was going the military route, and then he came out and he graduated school, and all the honors and all that other stuff, and it was like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to go to here? He had a scholarship, he had all these opportunities, and as a parent, you want to tell them, you want to shake them, and just say, look, this is what you're going to do. But once he reached that certain age, I didn't want it to be a situation where I forced. I was like, all right, well, it's going to be your decision, but I want you to look at it from a different perspective, and then kind of go from there. So let him kind of do his thing. I gave him enough. You know how they would say, I gave you enough rope so you can hang yourself. I gave him enough rope to realize that it was going to be a little tough out there. And I let him, deal with regular jobs and all the other stuff. Like, I let him do his thing. And now he has 2 businesses, independent. He hasn't asked me for money since he was 18.
Wow.
Very successful in anything he does. He's determined. He was over here, Father's Day, so we got to hang out and stuff. And we had a father-son conversation, and now we're discussing, finances and what's happening in the market and all this other stuff. And I can have this conversation, and I know he's doing the research and the stuff to have this conversation. And now when I say, this is why I said that, just like what Nick was saying, now that he's gotten older, you're able to have those conversations that you couldn't have when he was younger, because they wasn't quite on that level. But now, he's sending me stuff. He's, checking out perspectives, and this is the person I'm following. This is what's going on in the market, blah, blah, blah. How do you think about this? And I'm like, this is everything I wanted to happen, but I wanted it to happen like 6 years ago.
Right. We all impatient.
Yeah. But it boils down, it's not your time. It's, it's God's time. So God said, I'm gonna make it happen when I want to make it happen. And now, I was talking to a friend of mine's, God, like 13 years ago, and he's in Nebraska. He moved out there as a lawyer. He moved out there, and it was his birthday. So I told him happy birthday, and I took a picture and sent him on my face. My God, your son looks just like you. Like, he just hasn't changed. I'm like, nah, man, he hasn't changed. But the other day, me and him went to one of my friend's detail shops, and he was like, "Oh, who is this? Your brother? Your other brother?" And I was like, "No." He gets so upset. I'm like, you should be honored that your father looks this good, okay? That means by the time you get there, you're going to be looking just as good, man. Like, you know how many people would pay? He said, man, all my friends be like, that's not your father. That's like your cousin or your older brother. There's no way your father. I'm like, yeah, it's upsetting, but it's okay, bro. You have all of this to look forward to.
Good genes, baby. Good genes. Yeah, he should have
man. Yeah, like, man, you got all this to look forward to. Now, as far as my girls, nah, I am 100% protective, because, like, you were saying earlier, I don't want them to settle or think that they are less to anything because some guy's coming along and whispering something sweet in their ear.
Right.
I tell them I love them. I tell them they wonderful. I tell them all this stuff. So when they get outside, oh, my dad always tells me that. So I ain't really got to worry about that. This is not new stuff from them, and it's my job to prepare them and to do the things that I need to do that they don't have to depend on a man. That they can take care of. And, I said, look, babe, you got to make sure somebody's coming to you. What are they bringing to the table? Because this is what you bring. You're bringing this, you're bringing that. So what are they bringing to the table? It was a message I heard today. It's if the guy had an axe and he was banging it against wood, and he said, this is the only thing that dulls this axe. It's because he's hitting against something that's not equally yoked. And if, he said, this is the only thing that's going to mess you up. If you're trying to move forward in life and you keep chopping this wood, eventually that sharpness of that axe is going to dull out. And that wood is going to, eventually you're going to have to sharpen all over again. But if you're not equally yoked, this is what's going on. As you're trying to move forward in life, you're banging away, somebody is doing the total opposite. And that's what I don't want for, my girls. So it's rough, man.
How old are your daughters now? Because your youngest is like what, 5?
Two. Lord, yes.
Man,
I mean, that's another conversation. That's another conversation with that one. But my oldest is 17.
Okay. So here's a question for you, and I'm going to be tussling with this question myself. We don't want them to need from other people. At the same time, I want to teach my daughters how to be submissive to a real man. Because right now we got, especially in our community, we got more Black professional women who think they don't need men, and then they end up alone because they don't understand what submission means under terms of husband, which is headship.
It's biblical. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to, make more money or do another thing. You have to figure out. And I don't know if I can blame women, because I can also sit there and put the blame on us. Like, at some point, we got to realize that we also need to step up and take our rightful place as well. Now, one thing, I was raised by a strong mother. Like, it's going to get done one way or the other.
Right.
And
my mom was saying.
Yeah. Like, it was kind of like, my mom and my dad weren't together. They got divorced when I was very young. But over in time, they realized, the love for each other. But it was just crazy. But she never, like, forgot her role. She just realized that, look, if I got to pick up this football and carry it into the touchdown because he's playing around, I'm gonna pick this football up and carry it into the touchdown. And I think that a lot of times we as men, and people say, it's a touchy subject. Have we let our women down, or have we sit there and just say, hey, if you're not going to do it, who is? If you're not going to sit there and take a chance, then who is? Because once a woman has a kid, I think they become like so driven. It's not about my life anymore. Like it's no longer. I can never tell a woman how she should feel when a baby is inside of her, because I'll never have that situation. I don't think I want to go through that pain. But what I'm saying is, when they make that choice that is no longer about them and it's about that kid, it's going to be by any means necessary.
Right.
And with us, I guess it's kind of like, oh, well, we're going to do what we got to do, and hopefully we're going to try to make it work. And it's rough. So and I also think that you got to expose your kids, or I suppose my daughter, to my family life. Like, I put her mom up on a pedestal.
Right.
Like, she's seeing how a king is supposed to treat his queen.
Right.
And when we rarely argue. I think, me and my wife, our toughest situation.
You put that in the back room.
Yeah. Like, the girls don't see that, but when it boils down, I said, all right, this is what it is. My wife understands, and she knows her role, and it's kind of like, okay, your father has spoken. So when the daughters want something and she says, go to your father and see what he says. And we're not competing about, well, mommy said this, mommy said that. My word is final. Like, that is what it is. We'll discuss it, we'll make plans, but if daddy says no, that's just what it is. Right. But my wife is comfortable in her skin, and she knows her position. She plays her position well. Right. And I think as raising daughters, you have to be able to show them, not do what I say.
No, you gotta be your physical example.
Yeah, it has to be do what I do. And that's what I try, we don't play around with abuse. We don't play around, like, there is no cussing or smoking or drinking in my house, because that's what it is. When we eat nonsense, we're eating together and we hold hands and we all pray together, because that's how I raised my house. And my wife seconds that. So when the girls see that and they go outside, you get those, wow, your kids.
That's average. excellent average in your house of fatherhood and motherhood.
Yeah. So when, the same thing you happened when your story about Rodney, when you walked in the door, your name was already put on a pedestal just because of what he did. But if he didn't have that stability at home, he'd have went there and abused that situation. Acted like a nut. So I think that, we have to put ourselves in a place where we can lead a great example and not just be, one thing people always just say, I don't send my kids to church. I take my kids to church. And my father, through all his stuff and everything, my father now became, he was a pastor. He's a pastor of 2 different churches. So throughout all the stuff, I got indoctrinated in that. And I was the worst kid. Oh God, out of all my 4 brothers, I was the one who was probably off the chain. But slowly but surely.
That's funny you said that. I was the same way. I was the one making all the rules, messing up everything. And I ended up becoming the one who's most stringent, most disciplined with my children.
So my brothers called me in. It's like, you know what? I need you to talk to my other brother, our other brother, because you know what to say. You know how to word it. You are like the mediator. And my father says, you're the one who, I'm named after my father anyway. So it's kind of like you're the one who handles all of the stuff with the other brother. If I have an issue, they tell me last because okay, now everyone's done it, so I'm gonna be the mediator. It used to be don't tell me at all. Don't tell him because he gonna yoke somebody up. He gonna do this. He gonna do that. Like, don't call me if there's a problem because when I come, it's gonna be a bigger problem. Like, and then, now it's a totally different situation. So I thank God for the little seeds that were planted by our fathers and being able to adjust, I guess, to our children, because every one of them, is a blessing. And, they always say, we didn't ask to be here. No, you didn't ask to be here. But like we were saying to Nick, it was a reason. And, I say it that I prayed to God for patience and he gave me a daughter. And that's just real. That's just real talk. That's just real talk. I prayed God, like, oh God, one day I want to have so much patience. And he's like, all right, I got something for you. Boom, wham, here you go. A girl. No.
I got 2 of them too. 8 and 12, and 8-year-old. She tried to run the house, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. It'd be like every other day, be like, hey, I need you to pick this up, get that. And Rodney, Crusher, and the other ones, they report to her. I'd be like, hey, you're 17, she's 8.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be bossing you around. I'm like, what's up with that?
Dad, you don't understand, yo. Have you seen her? So it is what it is, man. It's funny, but every once in a while we see ourselves in our kids. And to be a father and to be able to experience that is such a great thing. It's such a great blessing because you can, you're a fan of golf, but now your kids are turning around to enjoy the same thing that you find interesting in life. And now you're having the middle ground.
And that thing's exciting about that. Something we can play for the rest of our life together.
Yeah. So when I can sit here and have a conversation with my son and my daughter about, the stock market, even though that should probably be boring stuff to them. And they're like, oh, no, what about this? What about this and on that? Oh, well, AMC, I'm like, this is, wow, thank you, Lord. Because I think we've mentioned this before. When, at our dinner tables, these type of stuff wasn't being talked about.
No, because we didn't have access and we didn't know.
No,
it's a whole different world now.
Yeah,
it's totally different than when we were born.
Yeah, me and Nick was talking earlier. I was like, these kids know anything about the Dewey Decimal System. They don't know anything about going to a library and actually finding the book and pulling out the card and researching which aisle, which section, they don't know anything about that. Yeah. They don't know anything about that.
Now, I still take my kids to the library, but they don't pull out the bibliography cards. We actually have a program that I take my daughters to where they give you a trophy. You read 20 books over the summer. You read 4 of them online, and then they give you a trophy and put your name on the board. So I trick them into reading just to get that trophy.
Whatever we got to do.
Right.
And that's being a father.
Right.
It's giving them what they need, but them not knowing they need it.
Yep.
And then making it fun where they still appreciate it years later. And now, like, Nick was saying, like, oh man, I was able to have more conversation and stuff about, with my father. They didn't tell me before because, maybe he didn't think he was ready. But now Nick is ready to hear these conversations of like, yo, these are the stories and the things I did when I thought I knew what I was doing. But now he's listening to somebody who's way wiser and he's dropping those nuggets and those seeds in his life.
How old is your dad again, Nick? Because I had another experience with my buddy named Johnny and his son, Trevor. And we actually went out to a little sports bar. And I was loving it because Johnny's like 59. His son is like 22. And we're sitting there having a brew together. All of us having a brew. We're chopping up just like he's friends with that. I was like, dude, this is a great moment right here. And then his dad was telling him, how hey man, sometimes people like to have that little buzz feel. And his son was like, I like to have that little buzz feel. Can I go out? My Mac is better with the honeys. And dad was like, dude, you don't need that when you're off like me. Just ask mom. And it was so funny. Here's the funny thing. And I was like, man, they really, and he had his partner Javon with him. And my buddy, he don't drink. And I was like, dude, I said, did you make it? Because I asked him why he don't drink. He said, man, when I met my wife, he said, I figured I can get in the draws easier if I stop drinking because she didn't like that liquor smell on her breath. And he was like, I don't want to be saying that in front of my son, but it is what it is. And so I didn't know that. And we all started laughing and stuff while me and his son and his buddy are having a drink, but he's not drinking. He's having orange juice or something. But I was just marveling in the fact that they got to that level in their life, that they're friends and respect each other as father and son. And that, I mean, I'd be interested, man, to hear your point of view, because I mean, how old is your dad? And I'm sure you have a drink with your dad and do some stuff that the manly things you just have in brotherhood that I'm not in a rush to get there, but I look forward to it.
Yeah. Well, my father doesn't really drink anymore either. When I was a kid, before I was old enough to drink, he used to bring, beer home and have, beer in the fridge. And then when he told me these stories from the past, he would tell me how him and his buddy, they would go to the court to play tennis, and then they would go to the bar and have beers together. But my father doesn't drink anymore. He's well,
how about just kicking the breeze with your dad?
I mean, we do
having that fellowship where y'all just talk about the lady.
Yeah, I mean,
you're a single man.
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, he talks to me from the perspective, like I mentioned about him saying that things might have been a little bit different if he stayed single a little bit longer for him financially. So, he talks more about, what he's experiencing through his marriage, with my mom, so some of the conversations that we have, he wouldn't necessarily have with me when my mom is around, so yeah, we have those types of conversations. He talks to me, he's talked to me about the economics of a wedding, and priorities, as far as he talks to me about his cars. When I was younger, he didn't have cars. He called them pieces of cars. so he talked about, buying these pieces of cars to, until he had enough money to invest in something, a little bit newer, so a lot of our conversations actually tend to be about money, and how finances impact, marriage and families and children and all that. But to answer your question about his age, he's 65. He just turned 65 in April.
Okay. So do you look forward to like rewarding your dad with some of those things for the things, the way he raised you the right way? Is that something that's high on your list of saying, hey, Dad, I appreciate what you did for me. I'm going to give you, you know, a new car or something like that to just honor him in that regard? Is that something that, because I'm always thinking about that, because, you know, I would love to be able to do that, you know, for my dad. You know, if my dad was, you know, still alive, you know, I would love to do that for my dad in the New York minute, just to get back on the sacrifices that were made to get us where we are today.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that is, you know, we kind of have this ongoing joke about, well, for one, he says, you know, every time my mom goes out to you know, to do something fun or enjoy herself, he says that she's digging into my inheritance. That's one. That's one thing he always said. Then another thing he says is, he says I owe him for all the food that I ate, so I have a food bill. So you know what I plan on doing is, I plan on paying him back his food bill. So just write a check out to him. I haven't decided on the amount yet, but getting to the point where I can write a check out for him every month, and then in the memo put food bill on there. Like that.
I like that.
Pay him back for all the food that I ate over the years.
Oh man, that is hilarious, brother. You know, it's funny. I think your dad's 65, you're 30. I think Rodney's in the same age comparison as you are. Okay. In 13 years, he'd be 30. I'll be 65. Wow. That's something else, man. Yep. That's something. Yeah, man. I mean, that's one thing. I'll get back to what Senator Ray said. And raising daughters, I think it's important to, you know, show your daughter what a real man is, and at the same time have her independence, but also have the discernment to find a man that has the principles like her father had. That's a good father. And having a man that actually can provide when it's time to have the children, to have that option to stay at home, because at the end of the day, biblically speaking, God meant for the woman to nurture the child and raise them up. And here's another great thing that women do for real men who are real men. They actually have their children praise their father. When that father comes home from doing the job, that child is taught, hey, run up to the parent, run up to the dad, get a dad a hug. Hey, Dad, I miss you. I love you. Thank you for providing for us. And unfortunately, today in our community, the Black women, even the ones that are married that are, you know, multiple degrees, they get this power struggle mentality from what they learned from corporate America. Because they could be VPs at the job and they got all these people reporting to them. But when you come home, still the headship, husband means is to be protector, provider, and preacher. And you're an umbrella literally to your wife and then to your children. And a lot of people don't understand that biblically. And a lot of times women that are professionals, they get the word submission, which sub means under, mission means control, but subservient. You ever hear women, I'm not telling you to be under my thumb. That's subservient. Submission means under control. In every institution, there is submission. In any partnership, any business, you have a board, you have a CEO, you have CFO, CIO, CTO, you have managers, and then you have the regular working fee. So that's a triangle. That's a span of control, which is submission. Under control to get the job done. And we got to do a better job, like Leonard Ray said, is actually elevate and educate the women that, you know what, man can do the yard, take out the garbage, change the tire. Those type of things, no matter how much money a woman makes, they were not physically built. Now, every now and then, through an anonymously, these women who are bulked up, you know, freak athletes, they may occasionally be able to do that, but they're not designed to do that. I mean, let's just keep it a buck, you know, and at the same time, we have to make sure that we praise and honor them so that they can leave that corporate shield at the job and they can come home and be the wife that is the completer, not the competer, and actually be your cheerleader. And see, here's what's happened in our community is that when your wife stops cheerleading for you, you find somebody else to cheerlead for you. And here's the funny part. A lot of times that side piece or that new wife looks less attractive than the original wife because she's good at cheerleading. Have you noticed that? And I'm gonna keep it a buck. When the sisters come up, man, I keep seeing brothers with the white girl, the Mexican girl, the Asian girl. You know what they all have in common? They treat that man with cooperation and submission, and it ain't got nothing really to do with the looks. It's about how they pump them up and keep supporting them and encouraging them, because a lot of these brothers be marrying some plain Janes outside of their race just for the fact that they make them feel like a hero every time they come home. Mm-hmm. That's the facts. But you know what? The sisters can do that too. And right now, it's almost 12-to-1 ratio that college degree women to college degree men and successful six-figure income earners. So a good man, that's a black man, that's a solid brother, that got his act together, he got a pick of the litter.
Dude, I'm a commodity, yo. Make sure I ain't gonna get smacked. But we were literally having this conversation last night in bed, and she's like, I forgot what we were watching. She was watching some movie, and she's like, I think we was watching How to Be a Player with what's my man? Goodness gracious,
Bill Bellamy.
Yeah, Bill Bellamy. It was in the scene where he goes, or the last scene where he goes to the party, and it was all of these beautiful sisters all around. She's like, look at this. Y'all got all these choices. And we got these choices. You know, we got very little choices. And y'all got all this stuff. And I was like, I don't really think so. I think you can kind of get what you want. She's like, no. It's not the same, especially for a good person. You know, a good man is not really the same. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I never really think about it. Oh, whatever. You know, but if you look at the actual stats, if you look at the, God, hey, you look at Atlanta. I think Atlanta is like 17 or 20-to-1, something like that. Down there with professional women and man, I'm like, yo, it's rough out here in these streets.
Yeah, and on top of it, Atlanta has become the new San Francisco from all the gay brothers.
Yeah,
so
I'm just like, yo,
that's probably taken from 20-to-1 to 30-to-1.
So I don't know what I think if we get our act together, if we do the things that we need to do, like say it's I think I put a post up not too long ago, and it was another joke I heard from Chris Rock, and it was talking about, when you're in a relationship, relationships are not as hard as people think they are. It's only difficult when one person is doing all the work. He said, now, he put it this way, he said, it's real easy for two people to move a couch. It's real hard for one person to move the couch. And he said, the first rule about it is don't compete. He said the first rule. You want a healthy relationship, don't compete with the other person. Like your win is her win is your win. And I think that's what is missing. It's not about like a very wise young lady told me this when I was young, young in the dating scene. And she's like, it's not about what you can do for me. It's about what we can do together. Mm. And I was like, damn. Man. And to this day,
drop the mic.
I still live by that. I live by the sayings that this lady told me, this game that she dropped. She was like, no, it's not about what you can do for me. It's about what we can do together. Because what we can do together, nobody can destroy.
Right.
We're a much better team if we're both moving that house together. Yep. We're a better team as our household is raising our kids if we're raising them together. If we're on the same page, when we're not, doing all of this. And that's something that, it's not a relationship type thing we need to have, because we look at the longevity of, how a relationship can even make or break your situation. And when we look at marriages, most of marriages, 9 times out of 10, the marriage will end because of money. He's like, no, he cheated on me. I was like, because obviously, something happened where he was at work. He was at work, or you were at the gym, or something happened where somebody else
is pumping up his ego.
Yeah. Somebody, or vice versa.
Right.
Or vice versa. Somebody else was pumping up her ego.
Right.
And he wasn't able to do the things and whatever. So, we always have a saying in our house, give me my flowers while I'm here. Like, I want to see my flowers. If, I don't need to get complimented outside if I can get complimented inside. Because if I'm getting complimented inside, then it's all good. But yeah, man, it's crazy how things are now. And being a father, and you just want to make sure you're able to kind of guide your kids, because we see the problem. Back in the day, our grandparents be married forever. And now you're like, marriage is like 3-4 marriages is not uncommon. It's just not uncommon. Just not.
Well, it's funny to say that. I think one thing we all don't realize is that the vows say, death do us part. It doesn't say anything in the vows about happiness. It says love, honor, and respect.
Right.
And people always talking about, hey, I'm not happy, but it's love, honor, and respect.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day. And then also too, from a fatherhood perspective or a husband perspective, I've made this mistake myself, is that when you tell them about delayed gratification, and you give them a time frame, if you say we're gonna hit these goals in 24 months, 5 years, you better hit them goals, because that delayed gratification makes the heart deferred, and it just makes it sour.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the challenges of being an entrepreneur. Sometimes you don't hit the goals when you plan to hit them, but you ask your partner to actually defer their ability and talent to do things that they were gifted, but your deferred gratification continues to extenuate, and you don't draw that line in the sand and do whatever it takes to get it done. Or conversely, when you're making all the money that y'all need to make, you're not spending the quality time, which some women just want to be around you.
Yeah.
Got to know their love languages. So from that aspect of fatherhood, that's still from the husband and I perspective, that you have to get that under control, and actually have to be mature as a man. And it ain't an age number, it's a maturity level.
Mm-hmm.
And we're basically debilitating the younger generation, because we're robbing them of taking them through that rite of passage of being men and being accountable, and telling them, hey, this is what you got to do, this is where you got to do it, this is where you got to get it done. So if you find a high quality woman, like they said, man finds a woman, then he has everything. Conversely, if you have a woman that's bitter, it's better to be up on the rooftop in a rainstorm. So with
that's biblical.
That's something that we have to model in our actions, not our words. And especially in our community today, as strong Black men, we have to make sure that we are always modeling that, and try not to over abuse the power of the position versus the servanthood leadership. And to me, at the end of the day, that's what fatherhood is. At the end of the day, having the ability that your children actually catch what you taught them, and they're out there respectful, they have humility, they're hardworking, they have a plan, and then they have the ability to actually discern who's a quality person for them to become, cooperative and build something together, and us guiding them through the process by showing them the example through our actions and not our words. But when they need our advice, then we provide it for them, and we don't push them away. And I think if we can get back to doing that and have more examples like yourself, we can actually do a better job in our community. And we can actually also too, we got to show them through our actions to shut off these idiot boxes. I mean, I don't watch hardly any television. I do watch sports, and I watch, YouTube occasionally, but I don't watch cable. I don't watch regular television. And I show that example to my children where, what's watching television, because that's where they get most of the crap from, because it's a gossip, low race to the bottom society, and we're glorifying stuff that's not meant to be glorified. So I'm excited with that. I think we've spent enough time. We got to do a part 2 on this when we get the other two fellas on the channel and really chop this up, because it's so important that we have a lack of fatherhood in terms of society, not necessarily just marriages, but fatherhood in of itself.
Yeah.
Deprived of that in America and across the world, where now it's becoming womanhood and a matriarch system where that's not how God intended it. And if people are offended by that, then that's your problem. That's the reason why in all economic groups, the divorce rate is the same. From people who are struggling in the hood to the people in the White House, the divorce numbers are the same. Turning closer to 60%. And then in our community, it's very rare that people get divorced and they get married again as women. But men, the reality is, if you take good care of yourself as a man, you have more options as you get older to get with younger women. Older women don't, because the reality is the physical part goes away. But the physical part for men, it doesn't. That's just the way God built it, because we're designed to reproduce. At the end of the day, we're put on this planet to be with a man and a woman, to reproduce and then to build community. And people don't get that. You can't get that in a lab. Can't get that with 2 men. Can't get that with 2 women. We're here to reproduce. So at the end of the day, whoever watching this, that's what fatherhood means. And if you don't like it, hey, that's your problem. Keep your own personal information and your lifestyle to yourself. And I'm gonna say that, man, I was driving downtown and they got all these rainbow, coalition hanging over the bridge and stuff, shaking their butts, got the clothes off, and they're promoting it on the social media like it's the best thing, sliced bread. And you got to protect your children from them getting twisted and think that this is normal, because it's not. I'm telling you what, you get together to reproduce the natural way. Don't tell me about a hyena has both sex organs. That's an aberration. Don't tell me about the seahorse. Let's talk about the 99.9% of the people in the animal kingdom that has a male and a female that reproduces. So that's my take on fatherhood today. So I'm gonna turn it back over to you guys, and we're gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna get on out of here and finish cleaning up my casa.
I'll just say, my last statement on what fatherhood means is that just to sum it up, and we kind of encompass this in this conversation, is that the goal is for the following generation to take it further than the previous generation. So our goal should always be to do better than our fathers did, and then and our mothers did, when we're talking about the the feminine side of it. So that's what fatherhood means to me, to take it to the next level and to improve upon the foundation and the shoulders that we're standing on.
What you got for us, preachers? We get up out of here. What's your parting words, brother?
Oh man, I am. As far as with mom, like I said, I'm blessed to be a father, because so many people can't, and that's real talk. So many couples I know can't have kids, and they want to have kids, and they probably end up being great parents. And I don't take this thing lightly. Like my father taught his sons one thing, and that's to bust your butt and work hard. He may have not been there for every sporting event, for every school assembly, for every PTA meeting or whatever, but he made sure that, when it came down to it, the lights was on and the bills were paid. And that's a sacrifice. And I think that, going back to our position, God comes first, and then we're servants of him, and then the women is under the man as far as, servitude. But keep in mind, we're serving. To be a father is to also be able to be a provider for my kids. So in actuality, I'm serving them. I'm turning that thing right around. It comes full circle. Just like as my father serves me, I'm serving my kids, because I'm exposing them and I'm bringing them something that I have vouched for that they can eat, they can partake in, they can live apart, they can live in, they can do this, they can do that. I'm bringing this stuff home and I'm saying, it's okay, trust, believe that I've already did all this stuff and it's going to be good. I'm providing for them. And to be a provider, especially in these days where, it's so much stuff going on with the, community, this way, that way, I look at it like, look, I can't judge anything and what's going on because I'm not perfect. But what I can do is I can get myself right to the best of my ability. One wise man once told me, I cannot be accountable for what people say about me. I can only be accountable for what comes out of my mouth. And when it's based upon my kids and my family, I'm doing what I believe is best to provide and raise them the way that I've been taught and how I'm supposed to raise my kids. And when we do have those examples where our kids go out in the world unattached to us and we hear the good reports from the outside world,
that's a great
about things and what's going on with our people that we send out there, that's my gratitude.
Man, you know what? You couldn't have said it better. And I always say that, hey, man, only person responsible for raising my kids, morals, ethics, and principles is me.
Mm-hmm.
The buck stops here, baby. At
Yep.
the end of the day, I mean, I think that's the epitome of our show. The bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy, and how important fatherhood is. And you couldn't have said it better. So you men, you women, if you're listening to this, you should, like it, share, subscribe, and understand that it is your responsibility to actually provide, protect, and, preacher or basically mentor your family at the end of the day through your actions, first and foremost. And that's imperative because it's your morals, your ethics, and your values. And like Leonard Ray said, the biggest compliment that we can get and the honor I have is to know that my children are living up to those standards of our morals, our ethics, and our values. And after that, you don't have to be concerned about anything else.
Nope.
It's all a wrap.
Yep.
And it's an honor to be able to provide for them and to actually, sacrifice and invest. And at the same time, let them know why we're making the sacrifice and investments to help them have the best life that God wants them to be to impact the world to make the world better.
Yep.
That's where we draw it in the same. So, man, this has been a great show. Man, we're going to pick up the second part to this. So, Nick, let's close this out, brother. And, we end it the same way all the time. On behalf of Nick, the moderator, on behalf of Mr. Preacher, Leonard Ray, and for the brothers Ronald, the brothers OG, and Clarence. You've been watching, Bet on Black, the men, the family, the legacy. And you know what? We end it the same way all the time. We wish people to have a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money, peace of mind. And we want you to come join us on the beaches of the World Club. And your beach don't have to be water or sand, but it's actually where you find your freedom and your tranquility. And what better way to turn it off to these, words from our sponsors and the people that we've impacted in our husband and I fatherhood for our community. DJ the Money Coach, and we'll see you next time and have a blessed weekend. Hi, I'm DJ the Money Coach. Don't touch that dial. You want to become financially independent? You want to have consumer debt freedom? You want to have passive income, learn how to build a business, acquire real estate, and achieve the lifestyle you deserve in 2021? Well, hit that link below right now. We've worked with over 20,000 people in the past 2 decades, helping them become consumer debt free, increase their credit scores by 30 to 60 points in 30 days or less, and help them acquire businesses through real estate, taxes, and a network of experts just like me. So you'll get a complete 3-hour, 18-module course called Family Finance 101 that'll teach you A to Z how to become consumer debt free, credit worthy, and put you in position to become a certified entrepreneur. We'll also give you a complimentary consultation with me that's a $500 value. Why would you want to do that? Because I have already achieved that, and I can help you Achieve your American dream in 2021. Hit the link below, get the free webinar and the complimentary consultation, and I'll see you soon and wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. Come join us.
So this is a testimonial for DJ the Money Coach. First of all, I got one of the best packages that you have.
Not long ago, Rita Levi Montalcini
I love the team. They
celebrated her
really
103rd birthday. And then during the festivities, she made a speech. And in that speech, she said, "My mental capacity is greater today than when I was..."
A lot of courses, a lot of classes, spent a lot of money. And unfortunately, some people don't do what they say that they're going to do as a coach. It's not that I didn't know about some of the things, but the main parts that I would say were different for me is learning about how to actually save the right amount of money for an emergency savings, learning about tax savings, and even how to structure your business more properly so that you can reap the benefits of the taxes and not be taxed so much.
Hello everybody, my name is Terry. I recently just linked up with DJ the Money Coach, and he's been very helpful, gave me a lot of information, told me how I could turn my personal credit into business credit, also showed me how I could pay for a personal vehicle through my business and corporation setup, and also set me up with Melvin to help me actually put together a will, a power of attorney, a Roth IRA. And I'm only 25, so I'm just looking for the future, and these guys are setting me up, building my foundation strong. And I just wanted to show my appreciation and say you guys should be next. Call DJ. He's definitely there to help.
I definitely would highly recommend DJ the Money Coach. He's very personable. He's actually real. He actually does meet with his clients. You know, I'm happy for that. And he actually has a team that he works with that, you know, that are actually real. They do call people, so they will call you. So that's kind of why I want to rock with DJ the Money Coach.
Hello, my name is George Paisley, and I just finished my first initial consultation with DJ the Money Coach. And I have to say, it was very enlightening. I enjoyed it. He hit me to some game. In the first 2 minutes, he told me about a way I could save taxes on next year. So even if I didn't work with him, I left away with that knowledge, how he can help you live that pom-pom lifestyle.
Since meeting you, I have had the pleasure of meeting other people among your team who have given me the knowledge to be able to take my business to the next level. So I'm definitely looking forward to a better year from here on out. So thank you very much for placing those people in my path.
DJ the Money Coach has been helping me with my financial planning. Melvin Hobson has been helping me with family planning, learning how to structure generational wealth. And I've been working with James Lane on taxes and on how to structure my business. So I'm really excited. This is a group of people, man, I really believe that's going to be able to help the Black community. And they're all doing this while I'm actually working over the road. So if you get the opportunity, get down with DJ the Money Coach and change your life.
The team, the DJTMC team, has created a financial plan for me, created a policy wherein I can create wealth for my great-granddaughter, who's 7 years old now. And because I didn't have these documents in place, I'm getting assistance with my will, power of attorney, and all of the documents that you would need to ensure that your policy, that your estate will be executed as you desire it to be done. I strongly recommend the DJTMC team.
You're looking at a satisfied customer. If you're like me and you have had problems with credit, you don't know enough about how to manage credit, you don't have enough money to invest in the stock market or set aside for retirement, then I encourage you to give DJ the Money Coach and his team a call. He has helped me, and I'm sure he'll help you. Shout out to Erica Williams for having DJ on your show.
stop wishing better, start doing better, and move forward with somebody that has not only the knowledge, the skills, the talent, and the team to help you go where you want to go. I'll get more than my money's worth. If I could spend a few grand, several grand on a piece of luggage, I could spend a little bit to get a lot of it in the long run. So if you're thinking about doing better, stop thinking, start doing, and definitely get down with the pom-pom lifestyle.
Hello, my name is Arthur Danner. Currently working over here contracting in Iraq. So scrolling on YouTube right there and saw Erica and DJ the Money Coach, talking and everything. So we decided to sign on with them, with him and his team, to help take our business as well as ourselves, to another level. So with DJ and his team, I know, they can make that happen.